let me get this straight. We should be grateful to a multi-billion-dollar company for doing the barest of minimum content. All the while, the developers say that they have no budget for actual deep content. Games like Anthem are made with Sims 4 profits, and EA is shoveling millions of dollars to the CEOs in bonuses because they have so much money, they just don't know what to do with it all. What about this situation says be grateful? Grab your aspirin, we're heading into the world of rabid Sims 4 fans and their really weird opinions again. The last time we stumbled into this bizarre world, we talked about a fan who didn't want open worlds because loading screens were just fine. But the reason we hadn't gotten horses was because no one wanted them, and that we should infinitely expand on The Sims 4 forever, which has become a waking nightmare to Sims fans recently. If you've hung out on Twitter or in the comments of YouTube videos, you've no doubt come across people saying things like, be grateful, in regards to any criticism towards The Sims 4. Or maybe you haven't, and this is the first time hearing this because the standard response to posting out-of-touch opinions on the internet is to get roasted in the comments, ratioed, and then delete everything. I don't know why people post half the crap that they do. From game changers wanting to sell their hair, to calling their community sea monkeys, to denying human evolution. People post some crazy stuff. Our first post comes from Reddit. In fact, most of our posts come from Reddit, and there is a really good reason for that. The Sims forum is absolute garbage, and if you don't agree with them or cause any amount of controversy, they lock the post. That's a great way to foster open conversations with your community, close posts, and block people who don't lockstep with your opinions. That's all I'm gonna say about that, because we just talked about this same thing last video with the gurus blocking people that never interacted with them because they didn't like their opinions or how they interacted with the community. Yeah, if you have time to police the community, you need more work to do or to get a life. I just find it interesting that you talk about how hard it is to create stuff, needing dozens of people to work on a single object, yet you're here policing how people talk to one another on company time when it has nothing to do with you. Certainly interesting to see how money is spent or wasted depending on how you look at it. On to our first post, and I apologize for the eye scalding color, but I had to find a cached version because the original was deleted. I am extremely thankful that this post is short and not the normal write a freaking novel that people seem to be so fond of. They are mad that people are underwhelmed and prepared for disappointment whenever they announce Sims 4 Discovery University. I went back to the trailers and scrolled through way too many comments and came up empty-handed, and I'm not willing to spend several hours of my life scouring Twitter for these 2-year-old comments, so let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that these comments exist somewhere. They go on to say that they don't care about previous packs and how good or not good they were, that people begged EA for this pack, and the community is so spoiled and ungrateful because they expressed dissatisfaction. They also mentioned that they wait for packs to come out and play it before they criticize it, which kudos for you. I think a lot of people are way past that point with the game. When the game first came out, there was a lot of people saying, give it a chance and it will get better, which probably led people like me to keep buying packs in the hopes that things got better. We're 7 years into the game and people are not so naive. Most, if not all of the packs released so far come with some kind of caveat. Can't control pets, tiny towns, content recycled 6 freaking times, bikes only for adults. People know better than to get hyped for half-baked packs now. This whole idea that you have to buy it to criticize it is extremely detrimental to people trying to be consumer advocates. EA isn't really forthcoming with information about packs. They choose to post the bad or disappointing stuff on Twitter, buried in replies to random people well away from their larger YouTube audience and after the trailers drop and pre-orders begin. Say what you will about the game, but that is a really abhorrent practice for consumers. That leads to consumers feeling hoodwinked, angry about their purchases, and eventually leads to resentment towards the company, the gurus, and the game. Let's jump into the comments on this post because they are amazing. What can I say about this comment but a freaking men? Bless the people who bought Eco Lifestyle and ruined their games for months. It takes a special kind of pack to destroy the player's game, and everybody should just be grateful that EA even gave us a pack in the first place. They worked so hard on it, and criticizing and demanding our games be fixed is so unfair to them. I wholeheartedly agree with this comment too. This isn't your elderly grandmother making you soup that secretly is terrible and you begrudgingly eating it to make her happy. This is a video game that is ballooning out of control towards $1,000 for everything. Let me remind you that EA is a multi-billion-dollar company, and they can certainly afford to make the packs that people want with the content that people are asking for, yet they choose not to. I talked about this in my last video, but they know the game is in such a horrible state. Their technical directors have no doubt told them multiple times, but they don't care. Let that sink in. They choose to keep packs empty despite saying they know what people want. They choose not to address the problems until things literally get out of hand and they can no longer ignore them. They choose not to heed the warnings of people who would know what the game can handle because people keep buying the packs no matter what state the game is in. Puts it in a different perspective, doesn't it? Let's move on to a very unfortunate person who should have put a little more thought into the example that they chose to use. Interesting choice, considering My First Pet stuff contained items purposely held back from cats and dogs to wring some more pennies out of people. You know, your argument might have been better received if you didn't bring up My First blatant cash grab. The gurus have talked at length about having stuff planned out for months or even years in advance. It is incredibly naive to think that this is a last-second addition to give people what they wanted. They talk about how hard development is and how many people are needed to create just one item, so it is safe to say that this was planned for and created around the same time Cats and Dogs was. Just one look at the furniture supports that. It's time for the pièce de résistance. I want to make it clear that this was posted by a real human being and that I do not condone anyone going and bothering this person. I feel really bad for The Sims, Maxis, and EA. They have the most selfish, rude, and arrogant fan base ever. I swear, I think the ones who are criticizing The Sims 4 are simply arrogant fans who think they're entitled to whatever they want. All you people do is whine and complain. To put this into perspective, this post came out in January 2015 when the game was basically empty and the first underwhelming DLC was released. Say what you want about the quality of the game now, but the game back then completely deserved the bashing it got. Charging $60 for an empty husk of a game was not a good first impression, and people were extremely angry about being duped. Oh, how times haven't changed. Let's continue. Even after EA and Maxis decided to respond, it apparently isn't enough. The development team for the game has been releasing patches which have contained missing features and content, and you so-called fans still whine. No diving boards with the pools? Seriously, be grateful for what you get. Here's the thing, there was so much missing when this game launched that a tiny patch with pools and ghosts, which should have been in the base game at launch, was not enough to make up for spending $60, or more in my case, on an empty, lifeless game. After 2 months, most people had seen everything that this game had to offer and were definitely mad about the amount of content they got for their money. Here's a water-filled box that you can do 2 interactions in and a ghost that will destroy everything in your house. For a minute, put yourself in my shoes. I'm working a job I hate, spending $70 on an empty game that I hoped might ease some of my real-life misery, then got pools and ghosts that literally added nothing to my game. I'm supposed to be happy and grateful when I buy Outdoor Retreat, and it is much the same. How old are you? Because it doesn't seem like you have any idea about the harsh reality facing most adults who play this game. A lot of us play life simulation games to get away from our terrible lives. Do you work? Do your parents buy you the packs? I'd be much more tolerant of the game's shortcomings if I didn't pay for it myself. I've even seen some comments relating to missing content and features that the Sims 3 base game didn't even have. It's getting ridiculous. There are some people who are complaining that pets and seasons weren't even included in the Sims 4 base game. Those features were always added through expansion packs, never a base game. The problem here is people expect new games to innovate on the old formula. It's been 21 years of the same thing. They'd like EA to get out of the Stone Age and actually move the game forward. Not making people pay for basic things like rain and pets is a good way to do that. That's one of the reasons why Paralives is so popular. They are adding the most requested things to the game and not making people pay $40 each for them. No one wants to wait 3 years for pets and 4 years for seasons. I think fans of The Sims are simply spoiled little brats who feel entitled to everything and anything they want. Oh yeah, and for anyone who keeps saying, I'll wait until Sims 5, there won't be a Sims 5 if The Sims 4 isn't successful, and support for The Sims 3 will eventually shut down like The Sims and The Sims 2 did. So you'll end up with pretty much nothing afterwards. I hope all you successful so-called fans are happy about destroying the franchise. Good job, brats! Oh, so you're one of those people who follow Sim Guru Grant. Since you seem to be regurgitating the stuff that he says, I'm going to guess you are one of his fans. We talked about him and his attitude problem in another video, but he's the one that is extremely out of touch with what the community wants. Also, why do so many people think that once a game isn't supported anymore, it just disappears into the ether? A game not being supported anymore doesn't stop you from continuing to enjoy it. I support The Sims, EA, and Maxis for all the hard work they put into this franchise. They're a business out to make money. That's how a business works. So stop complaining about how a game sucks or how you're being forced to buy things. You're not. Stop whining about the DLC. Stop complaining about expansion packs. Just stop. It's annoying, selfish, and rude. I enjoy The Sims 4 and look forward to the expansions, DLC, patches, game packs, and whatever else they have planned for the future of the game. And not only that, but I'll definitely hope the backlash from ungrateful fans doesn't destroy the chances of The Sims 5. Again, regurgitating Sim guru Grant. Yes, EA is a business, but that doesn't mean they are impervious to criticism or people demanding better content for their hard-earned money. I do find it hypocritical that you say other people shouldn't express their opinions while you openly share yours. If you don't want to see people complaining about The Sims 4, then don't look. It really is that simple. So many people go looking for others to hate on or be nasty to. Maybe it is you who should just stop.